What if some of Jesus' teachings were preserved not as miracle stories or creeds, but as short, sharp sayings meant to wake you up? Today we're looking at the Gospel of Thomas, discovered in 1945 near Nag Hammadi, Egypt, one of the most famous non-canonical texts attributed to Jesus. And we're going to focus on a line that has captivated people for decades. The kingdom of God is inside of you, and it is outside of you. That single idea challenges a lot of modern assumptions. That spiritual authority is always external, that salvation is only about believing the right formula, or that the divine is distant. This video is not about proving Thomas is more true than the New Testament. It's about understanding what Thomas is, what it teaches, and why its message has been controversial. The Gospel of Thomas is a collection of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. It doesn't read like Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. There's no birth story, no crucifixion narrative, no resurrection appearances. Instead, it's mostly, Jesus said, followed by a cryptic teaching. We have it in Coptic in the Nag Hammadi library, and scholars also found Greek fragments that show some form of the text existed earlier. A major scholarly debate is dating. Some argue parts of it preserve early Jesus traditions, others think the final form reflects later, more mystical developments. Either way, it's a window into the diversity of early Christianity, how different communities understood Jesus. So why isn't Thomas in the New Testament? The New Testament canon formed over time through community use, theology, and authority structures. Many church leaders valued texts that fit with widely accepted doctrine, had strong apostolic connections, and were used consistently in public worship. Thomas is different. It has teachings that sound more like an inner path of discovery than a story about public events. That doesn't automatically make it suppressed truth, but it does explain why it didn't become mainstream. A major theme in Thomas is recognition, seeing what's already true. That's very different from religion as mainly group identity. Who's in, who's out, who's correct, who's condemned. Thomas repeatedly pushes toward inner transformation, a kind of awakening. Let's go straight to the famous passage. In one translation it goes like this: "If those who lead you say, 'Look, the kingdom is in the sky,' then the birds will precede you. If they say, 'It is in the sea,' then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside you and it is outside you. When you know yourselves, you will realize you are children of the living Father." That's intense. First, notice what it rejects: spiritual leaders who point you to a place over there. Sky, sea, somewhere inaccessible, somewhere that requires an institution, or a gatekeeper, to grant access. Then it redirects: inside you and outside you. How can it be both? Here are 3 ways people interpret this. 1. Inner awareness. The kingdom isn't just a future event, it's a present reality that becomes visible when your perception changes. 2. The world as a mirror. Outside you may mean that reality itself, your relationships, your daily life, reflects the same divine pattern you discover inwardly. 3. Non-duality, wholeness. Thomas often dissolves divides: inside, outside, spiritual, material, sacred, ordinary. The kingdom isn't in a separate compartment. And then it says, when you know yourselves, in Thomas, self-knowledge isn't narcissism. It's a spiritual diagnosis. What are you? What drives you? What is false in you? What is real? Thomas suggests that what blocks the kingdom isn't distance, it's blindness. Thomas opens with a promise: whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. That line sounds extreme, but it may not be talking about physical immortality. It may be talking about a kind of spiritual death, living asleep, living in fear, living in a false self. The interpretation isn't just decoding words, it's letting the sayings do something to you. Thomas reads almost like a spiritual training text. Another key saying: know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be revealed. This is almost the opposite of secret knowledge only for elites. It says, start with the obvious. Start with what you're denying. Start with the truth you avoid because it's uncomfortable. And that's a pattern. Thomas suggests revelation is not far away, it's near, but overlooked. Thomas has a repeated theme: integration. You'll see it in sayings about making the two one, about inner and outer matching, about seeing from a unified self. Whatever you call it, wholeness, integrity, inner unity, Thomas critiques a divided life: public faith versus private reality, religious identity versus actual transformation, external conformity versus inner truth. In this sense, Thomas can feel like it's calling out spiritual performance. Some people act like it's either the New Testament is true or Thomas is true. Historically, it's more complicated. Thomas shares some sayings that resemble the Synoptic Gospels, short, punchy teachings. And it also contains sayings that feel more mystical and paradoxical. Scholars debate whether Thomas preserves early material, later developments, or both. What matters for you as a viewer is how you engage it, as a historical artifact from early Christianity, as spiritual literature, or as a challenge to how you've pictured Jesus. It's easy to frame this as, they lied to you. The more grounded way to say it is, most Christians inherited a version of the Jesus story shaped by decisions about doctrine, worship, and authority over centuries. Thomas represents a different stream, less focused on institution, more on inner recognition. That doesn't automatically mean cover up, but it does mean the public picture of Jesus is not the only ancient picture of Jesus that existed. If the kingdom is inside you and outside you, then the question isn't, where is God hiding? The question is, what in me is preventing me from seeing what's already present? One thing is certain, God is inside of me, and that makes me a part of God, a fragment of his divine nature. Jesus was way cooler than any of us were taught. If you found this helpful, like, subscribe, and comment. What do you think the kingdom within actually means?